Good morning, good morning. Yes, still morning, 10:19. I'm sitting here. This month was beautiful because there's a lot of finalizing things, tying up loose ends. Yeah. I don't know if I want that point of view or this point of view. I like this one, but it might fall. Let's see. I need to still get me one of those things. You know, Facebook will not allow you to get stars if you have a mask on. So I did not put the mask on because whatever. Y'all gonna get the real face today. I love this hair. And why I love this hair is because it's so light. It looks bigger than most of my wigs, but the air is flowing through it. It's like not hot at all. And it feels secure. It has a drawstring in the back. It's amazing. 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 So this is like my fun. I can do anything in wig. I don't have to be dressed up. I can wear jeans and a t-shirt. It's just fun. I love it. It does get a lot of attention, unfortunately, though. Wasn't really expecting that. Yeah. Women and men, like, I love your hair. Is it real? Stop asking people about their details. Is your face real? Is your lashes real? For half of us, my lips are not red. We all have stuff that we're not born into this world with, that we be doing. Yeah. Mind your business. Just say nice. It's nice. That's all. Just leave it alone. I'm not insecure about it. I talk about my wigs and everything, but I just think y'all be asking too many questions. If something's nice, I just say, you look nice. I don't say, well, where did you get your work done and all this stuff? I don't do that to people. It's unnecessary. Did you use retinol today? Do you have makeup on? Just too much. Too many questions. Just, if you're going to compliment. Doesn't matter if it's real. It shouldn't. Half the stuff we do is not real. As we in this 5-dimensional space. Anyway. So I wanted to share, this month is coming to a nice little close and end, and it's just been really a good month. A lot of changes and things happening, and I'm just grateful for them all. I do find it challenging sometimes for change. I find change challenging sometimes, but once I get through the meat and potatoes of it, I realized that it was needed and necessary anyway. So yeah, I'm gonna try to be as discreet as possible and still share my truth, if that's possible. It's hard, but I won't be too detailed because, I think discretion is important, but also realness and authenticity is important. It's a fine line because everything can be so polarized. Like we want to be good, we don't want bad, but it's like if you're too good, bad things can happen from being too good, and good things, let's say bad things can happen from being too good. I don't really have a perspective on the bad side. If you do too many bad things, that definitely could be bad, right? I think everything should be balanced. Like, you should have a balance. Like, none of us are perfect. I definitely have, I find myself working through not as frequently as used to. Perfectionism. It's just impossible, so you might as well just do you, live and enjoy your life, and stop trying to control everything and everybody, and just have fun. Have fun, but you can't have too much fun, right? You got to have time where you rest, and I've had to rest. I've had to pause to get my work done, to get this test, so I've had to put things to the side. I've had to say no to things that I wanted to do, and yes to things that I needed to do. And it's just been a cool journey. July has been awesome. It's been a reflective month, like very reflective month. Relationship wise, spiritually, politically, everything, like, you know, revisiting new perspectives and new views, and trying to change old habits. Like, I've been really working on and getting up at 4:30. I used to get up at 4. I used to get up at 3. Like, my body naturally wakes up at 3. And I used to not like that, you know, and now I'm like, if I wake up at 3, there's a reason I'm waking up at 3, and that is a good time for me to connect and do something, you know, pray or whatever I need to do at 3 o'clock in the morning, and that's okay, you know. And sometimes if I go to bed early, I'm definitely waking up at 3 or 4:30. I'm just popping up, and it's been good because I've also been working out and going to the gym, and it's just been so good, and going on my walks again and things of that nature. And I think sometimes we start healing and taking care of ourselves, and then the old people and things want to start to creep their way back in. And it's so funny because as soon as you start getting things back in order, like recalibrating and getting your, you know, all the things back in order that was in original space of goodness before, you then get revisited by the old things, and it's like you have to manage it. And I do believe in kindness. I believe in also that kindness, I have a new perspective on kindness. Kindness is like very short. It's like a short-term thing. It's not something that really is owed to anyone necessarily, but it's a good social contract to have with yourself and with the world around you. But it doesn't mean that you have to let people back in all the way. You know, they don't get to, you know, invade your space again, you know, with their stuff. And it's important to know that, and who is and isn't supposed to be a part of that space. When it comes to, I personally have a line when it comes to actual blood siblings. There's certain things that, you know, my siblings, they get a pass because they're my siblings. And for whatever reason, I give breaks and all those things if needed. But like, you know, there's some things that some people you don't let go of completely, right? You can't do that. And this is all just relationship stuff. You know, I'm not saying I'm having an issue with my siblings, but it's just my perspective on how we deal with people. But just like the regular world around me, you know, I think that if I come within a foot of a person, I'm speaking. It's just my, you know, it's how I, you know, I do this, and you know, I know it's a military thing, but it also it says hello, but it also says, you know, I'm not really up to connecting right now either. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to. It's a courtesy. It's a kindness, you know, and it's nice because it satisfies something in me. And maybe for that person too, that they feel seen. Not everybody needs that, but you know, it's a part of my personal social contract. So I am definitely an ambivert or introvert or whatever you want to call it. And a lot of you do not have to believe me. Where I fill up and where I get my that thing that I need back to be able to go out again and do it all again is alone time, or connecting with my inner household circle time, or just, you know, like connecting with God, or, you know, it's not with so many people around me or connecting. I love that too, and that's good. It is good, but I can't do that all the time and still come back out and do what I need to do successfully. So I've learned to accept that about myself and also embrace it, because I think for a long time I thought, I need to be this social butterfly. I need to do this, I need to do that. I need to force relationships. And, I wasn't calling it forced relationships, but, I need to work that out. And, it's not necessary. If it's, it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's like, it's okay. It's okay. Especially if it's unhealthy anyway. Like, it really is so much better when you can see it for what it is and just truly move on. And moving on doesn't mean to hurt someone else or make them feel bad or constantly remind them that you've moved on. It's just do it. Like, it's just a do it. And I do believe that sometimes people think it's overthinking, but I believe that it's intuitive and sensitive to who you are, as well to the people around you, especially when you're courting or building. We can call it courting, call it building, whatever you want to call it. And that's with platonic as well, intimate relationships that you are working on or building, whatever. I think that it's important to know your own personal boundaries, so that way you can set them early on. And it doesn't mean that you have to tell people that you're setting boundaries. It's just, what is the boundary? And it's something you're doing, and it's a part of who you are, and it's because you have to, because if you don't, things get out of control, and it's weird and awkward, and feelings get hurt and things of that nature. So I was dancing, of course. I love to dance. We were invited to a quinceañera, and the first one I've actually apparently been to. I guess they've become more elaborate over the years. This one was so wow. I was blown away. I think it was so much things great about it. I mean, they had a mirror dance, they had choreography. Ethan has been practicing in this quince preparation since last year. So, we've been anticipating it and knowing it's coming, right? And now that, we finally did it and came, it's just, I'm dancing and I hurt my foot, but I didn't hurt my ankle. So I have this gratitude, like, oh, thank you, God, that I didn't hurt my actual ankle, because that's worse. If you sprain your ankle, it's worse. It's worse than actually getting a break, because a break you can fix, but a sprain is a lot harder to fix. And so, I'm very grateful that it's at the top. It's like, okay, my foot is here and it's like on this side, So, but when I walk, when I press down to walk is when it hurts. So I'm being really gentle with my foot. I am, it's so the perspective of my body, just walking, how I personally don't like to think I take things for granted, like walking. But I realized that even just taking a breath, I didn't have to pay for that. I didn't have to ask for it. It just happened. Like, I'm breathing and I'm talking to you. And like walking, I'm like, thank you, God. Like, yes, my left leg is doing more work today. My right, I had to go out. I had to do the things I had to do. I did miss my workout. But I really felt like I could have done that too if I hadn't been up late picking my son up or whatever. I wouldn't have missed my alarm. But yeah, so I thank God for the fact that I can walk. So I had to walk. I had to take care of some stuff at the tax collector's office for my car and everything that I sold. But I wanted to make sure I handled that stuff today, and I did have to walk. And I had an appointment, so I'm walking through the line, and the line is around the corner, but I have an appointment, so I'm like going past all these people, and I'm like, thank you, God, for that I made an appointment, because I know to make an appointment coming here, because man, I mean, waiting in those lines at Lee County Tax is no joke. And so just that gratitude for that, like, I don't know, just preparation. I'm grateful most of the time, but there's a side of me that I have to really work on, being more cognizant about how I move. And I think that when it comes to just being like that savior complex, I know that sometimes I am so in this space where I'm like, I have to fix this. I have to make this right. I had a situation where a couple of situations in the month of July that came up. And so I know it's something I have to continuously work on, and it's for me to work on. And in fact, it's not even really like work on, like I gotta chisel at this thing, but I know that it's there, and something that I don't want it to be a struggle. And I think that's what it is. Like, I know it's gonna be there, it's going to pop up, but how am I gonna handle it? And I do find that this time around I've handled it quicker than I have in the past. So that to me is super duper progress. So and the thing is when it comes to relationships, tumultuous ups and downs, it's not so much the individual as it is the spirit of individuals. Like, if you think about relationships, there are different things that it's like categorical, like it's happening in multiple space with different people. So you know it's just a thing that you got to take responsibility on how you handle it. It's not about the actual person. So I have an experience where people make you feel like you have the only one have done something, or you've done something wrong in a situation. And if you stand up for yourself, or have a perspective about it, or say something to, maybe we can call it defend yourself, because I can't think of a better word for it. Like, if you say something to defend yourself, they get mad at you or make you think that you owe them something, and it just isn't true. Like, I do believe that everybody has a side. Like, I have a side, you have a side. There's two sides to every story. You know, I don't play victim. I want to always see what my part is, and I tend to do that more than look at the other side of that person's thing. So I'm like, okay, I can only change me, so I'm gonna put me in the dog seat. And I tend to do that. I'll put me in the dog seat and give them the seat of honor. So I think we call that taking the high road, which is totally fine. You know, like it's okay, because I do believe that higher power, God, Yahweh, Elohim, takes care of us when we are, if we will call it, humble. I believe we are to be humble before God, not so much before man. It can also lead to looking very insecure, and I'm speaking from a perspective that I fully understand, because I've done it, and I work on not doing it all the time. So, like, if I have an issue with something or someone or something I've done, or I need to apologize for something or take responsibility for something, I will do that. But I don't find that a lot of times people on the other end will take responsibility for it or apologize. I don't really get apologies a lot. I find myself doing a lot of apologizing, and I have to work on that, right? Because I work on it, and when I say I'm working on it, I mean, like, I really want to make sure those apologies are well placed, and that I truly believe that the apology is necessary. I had a situation where someone, how do I tell the story without telling the story? I don't even know if I can. I feel like this story is so necessary. It is necessary because I know I am not alone. And this is Motivation Monday or something. Myth busting Monday. From Myrtle. How can I tell it, God? Is there a way? Yeah, there's a way. So, yeah. You guys know the story. You know the story. So, I'm going to share it because, I'm probably going to do a blog about it anyway. I was asked to leave a church, right? And I am so grateful for that, right? I am now grateful for it. I can't say that I felt that way 3 or 4 years ago when it happened. It hurt. And a lot of what happened did hurt, right? But there was also so much good that came from it that I couldn't have seen had that not happened. And I'm just like, oh, wow. But I constantly find myself being, when I see the people from the past, I am asked why I didn't reach out or allow them to continue to be in my space. And they felt bad and all these things because of something that I didn't do. And I'm thinking, I was kicked out, not you. So what am I still to do? Like, I just feel like, I don't understand. I'm saying hello. I even give certain people hugs. I think that some people want more from me, and I'm unwilling to give that again in that space. That time has passed, and it's nothing against anybody, but I think it's just past. It's past, and I don't know if we should open that. It's not even I don't know. I do know. Those doors can't be opened the same way again. It's a hello, it's a hi, and I think that should be enough. That should be enough. Yeah. And then, if someone asked you for something, someone asked me for something once, and I gave it without fighting or asking any questions. I didn't even ask any questions. I gave it to the person willingly, and then when I asked for it back, they stopped and got mad and stopped talking to me. And I'm thinking, well, that's not fair. You know what I mean? Like, so it's the same kind of thing. And I think for me, I feel like, well, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? And, you look at yourself, you're thinking, what did I do wrong? But it's not, I can look at them and say, well, there's nothing that I did wrong. You have to know your boundaries. And that's a boundary. Like, it's a hello, hi, and a hug, but I'm not willing to revisit these things over and over and get all deep in these conversations and try to hash out what happened and all that stuff. It's not my job. It is not my job. It's not your job to explain things, especially on an organizational level. If something happened with Threat to Thriving, I would help and explain for Threat to Thriving, right? But I'm not expect y'all to explain for Threat to Thrive, and that's something that the leader of that company, organization should do, not me, not my family. I don't understand that. So I think that, like, love can be shown without, letting people all the way back in again. I think that's a space for people that deserve that space. And it's not healthy to have too many friends. And I realized that, like, I had so many people. And I know these relationships were awesome, like, in their own way, for their different times and their different reasons. And some weren't. Some were not awesome. Some were hard and challenging all the time and stressful. And, and so, some of those things, you like, thank God they're over, because it's like, it was too much anyway. And so I think, yeah, that's a thing that we have to be okay with when the change comes. Like, change gonna come. Change gonna come. I can't make those type of changes with my children. My children can mess up probably as many times as they have to, and there will always be a relationship with them. I can't say when they become adults. I doubt that will be the case, and I don't even speak that or lust after a thought like that. But I think that we have to know when things are over, they are over. And that is a hard thing, because I've had relationships that I think I might have been the one that hurt the relationship, right? And then that's over, and I can't really regurgitate that or go back to that. And that's hard, but you still have to be willing to move on. You have to be willing, and that way, so you can consistently do well for yourself in your life and make sure things are good. And there are some relationships that they're ebb and flow. They're not like all the time. You're not like in their inner circle. They're not inviting you to stuff. You don't invite them to things. But sometimes there's relationships that is the case. and you're doing projects together, and you have business that you're involved in together, and there's trust, and that's outside of your home life, but it's still a trusted relationship for a time, forever how long it may be. There's connection and communication between you and those individuals, and that's good, right? But it still will not take away from the fact that you still have to have boundaries and all the things that are necessary for relationships to thrive. We cannot do it without the right pieces. Like, if both parties aren't healthy for each other, then we are not able to make something work. It won't work. And that's okay. Like, it has to be okay. Otherwise, we get into the controlling factor, and I can't. Who can control another human? The only person we can control is ourselves. And when we start getting into control methodologies and trying to work on how other people do things, that is where I think that's where things get evil. I think while we like to talk about sin, I think the worst sin, if we talk about missing the mark, is trying to control how another person does or does not do something with you. People get violent. People feel insecure. We have fear that is surrounding that, and so we lust after revenge, and those things do not help us. Thank you. Well, that's cool. Appreciate that. I can't see you, and I'm sorry, just want to say hi. But yeah, we don't want to be that person that tries to grab at what we think we need from somebody. That's something that they have to want to give. And if they're giving something, then that's okay. Like, I had a person that I thought, we were building a little relationship, cool friendship, whatever, and it was a slow build. We did a couple things together, a couple projects, and I felt the shift. And I asked the person, is everything okay? Because, you feel the shift. I mean, we always act like we don't see the shift, but we see the shift, and it's okay. I am one of those people who will ask, and I am one of those people who want to kind of talk about it if there's something to talk about, but not everybody likes that. And I get it. I don't like it. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't like it. And that's okay, because I know who I am, right? And so in the new building, as I know that about myself, I am like, okay, I can work with you if you're someone who can actually finish something with me, like conversative. If I mess up, you'll actually talk to me about it. You won't come at me nasty, but you'll talk to me about it, and we can talk through it. And that way you can see maybe my perspective wasn't what you thought it was, and maybe I could see, maybe I didn't think of what you thought was thought of us. You feel me? You got me. So, like, rock with me as I bounce kind of things all over the place, right? But it's like one of those things where it's like, okay, I messed up. Like, humans are going to mess up. However, what kind of mess ups are you willing to be on that side of? What kind of mess ups can you handle? Because everybody got stuff. Everybody got stuff. I tell my kids that, any relationship you're going to be in, you got to know people they're going to come with their stuff, and it just depends on what kind of stuff you can handle. And, what's the deal breaker for you? And I think I might have been a deal breaker for this person, right? So I asked for something, and I look back, I was like, I asked God for revelation, because sometimes the person can't tell you what it is. They don't even know what it is. Maybe they know, and they just don't want to tell you. They want you to soak in it. They want you to feel something, which is fine. And I'm one of those people, I'll take some time to think about it, but I'm not fusing over it consistently. I'm not losing sleep over it, but I will explore it, and I will reflect on it, because that's me. And I've accepted that about me. While some people, I don't know if they just say that it doesn't bother them, or they really it don't. Some people may be cool, and that may be their thing. I think, though, that it's been so much hurt over time that has compiled from relationship hurt that they have this really thick, proverbial thick, okay? It's not really real. It's a fake thick. I don't believe anybody has thick skin. Our organ is our organ. This stretched over my whole, skeleton. This organ is a very sensitive one. And so my skin is not thick. However, I think it helps me too. Like, so it's a piece of it's that's selfish that I want to unpack, but I can't always unpack with the person, right? And I may need to unpack quicker, and I have. As I become older, I unpack a lot quicker than I did as well. Honestly, I had a period of time I really didn't give a F about much. But when I became a Christian and I started to delve into the Word of God, and I spent 23 years of my life really fighting to be perfect, according to what the church said I should be. And I do know that I did a lot of people pleasing, and I was just always wanting to do things the right way. And I don't think anything's wrong with that necessarily. I just believe that my heart was in the right place, right? And so, but I know that I came across, judgmental. I know that I have been a condemner. But when I started to see that, when God opened my eyes to see the word for what it really was, how the truth sets you free. We have this thing about this truth setting us free, and we believe that it's we think it's something else, but it really is a you thing. It's not so much an outside of you thing. It's like an inside of you thing. And I'm so glad that God showed me that. I am so grateful for that, because it's so outside of religion and so much more about a relationship with God, which is why anytime I have connection of any sort of relationship, small, big, long-term, short-term, I am inclined to fully notice things. You know what I mean? Like, so that's why I'm careful who comes into the space, because of who I am, not so much because of who they are. And yes, because of who they are. Like, I am cautious because of who they are, because they're not me and I'm not them. And I'll need to know, can I handle that type of person? Nothing against them, but can I handle that kind of person? Will I be able to move on? Will this take me too long to move on from? Will who they are, their personality, make too much of a mess and drama in my space? I need to know that. It's just like cleaning my house. Like, if I see my stove messy, I clean my stove. I don't want my stove getting so to the point where it's just, I can't cook on it. There's just certain things I don't let go. If I see it and it gets to a certain point, like your tub, your sink, your toilet stool, I'm just not doing it. I need a clean toilet. I may not go and clean the entire bathroom, but I have those Lysol wipes next to that toilet for a reason. I swish and swipe, because there's a point where I'm like, I'm not sitting there, okay? Or I just don't even want the compilation of the oils that come from the buttocks to sit down on my toilet constantly over and over. No, I wipe it. So I'm that way with relationships. I want to know if everything's okay. And yes, I'll ask. I will be that person if I am building with you, even if it's on a business relationship basis. And I've come to the realization that I don't know if I like the word friends. I don't know if I like that word, because you get so many people say, well, I don't do business with friends, and I don't do this with friends. And I'm like, oh, then I can't be, that's not friendship to me. Friendship to me is trust. It welcomes connection. It welcomes collaboration. There should be so much like trust there, but I get it. Like, there's certain things that I don't even want to do with my husband. Like, I don't want to go to his job. He don't really want to do what I do either. So there's those boundaries. I'm not saying that boundaries aren't necessary when it comes to these close relationships, but there are couples who work together, and there are things that me and Ian do together. Like, we recently started doing a podcast. That podcast was my space, but he wants to do it too, and he's going to have his own space. But he's getting his feet wet in my space. And in October, because we are at the Octobers, we're going to air the podcast that we've been doing. Right? But it's on my platform. And then eventually I'll teach him and show him how to do his own platform, or he'll teach himself, whatever. But I think, like, it's okay and it's healthy to have those boundaries and to know what space we can work in. Like, I can't really get my boys to do a whole lot of things, but there's some things I can get them to do with me. And then I want to pay them, because I feel like I want to be paid. Even if it's $10. I was at this event last night, and the mom was doing the photo booth with the daughters, and the daughter came and helped her with the bills on the ground, and then she because we were doing a shooting out the bills, and the daughter came and picked up the bills. She said, I pay her $10 at the end of all this because she's looking out for me on the sideline. She's like a girl and she's 10. You know how girls do her 10. They got perspective. They like, oh, what my mama need? Hello? My boys aren't as intuitive on that level unless I'm like, hey, I need you to be intuitive. They have been that for me. So it's not that they haven't, but they're not like a girl in terms of like, girls like are like, there's this thing about women, the feminine gene, that we just on it. Like I still do a lot of the cleaning in the house because it's my house. Me and Ian clean because it's our house. We're not really holding the boys to that so much. And sometimes when I do, it's so heavy, it's so frustrating because they're just not thinking like me. They're not thinking like me. A lot of people don't think like me when it comes to cleaning the house. And not that I'm better than anybody in this area, but that's just my area. Like I vacuum my house twice a week most of the time. But if I'm having, like this month, I had to rest, right? And so I didn't do it as often because I had to nurture myself, because I knew I had some things that were coming up that I had to take care of for me. And yes, it was hard to just nurture me. I had to be reminded by my husband to say, you know what, no, you're laying down. And I was able to do some Netflix binging and some homework that I needed to do and study. I did a bunch of little things that required not much energy from me. And also I didn't want to put myself in a space where I had to give a lot. So, I had told my son, Friday, I'm not doing anything. But I forgot that he had the quince. So I did have to adjust myself. And I let him drive. And I got in that seat. And then his friend opened the door to give me a hug. And I just stopped. I froze. Because I wasn't in the touching mood. I was just like, but one of the cool things about that moment when his friend opened the door and wanted a hug from Miss Myrtle, I gave him the hug because I'm like, this is somebody's child. I don't want to feel bad, blah, blah, blah. And me and my husband, we were talking about it. He's like, I want you to do that more with Ethan. Look at him like he's somebody else's son. Because sometimes we treat people better. And not like I'm constantly treating my kids bad or anything. But it's like, sometimes, like, I'll tell my son, like, hey, not right now. I don't want to connect. But for his friend, I was like, oh, okay. I quickly calibrated and adjusted myself to give this young man a hug because he's somebody else's son, which is so weird, right? But yeah, when I took myself out of the mommy mode and I was able to do that with my son a couple of times this week, and I'm not saying I'm perfect at it. Listen, it's a work in progress because he's my baby. I carried him for 9 months and physically pushed him out. Like, I love to say that. Every chance I get, child. Every chance I get. I pushed you out. I literally carried you in the belly for 9 months. It felt like a year because we got pregnant. I mean, side note, we got pregnant. We got married in July. I was announcing I was pregnant in November, and we had him in July of the following year. So I felt like I was pregnant the whole year. Right? And I didn't say 9 months, but child, I felt like, because I found out really early about being pregnant with him, and I was feeling pregnant, and one of my older friends was like, girl, just do it. Just go to the store and get a pregnancy test. And I did, and I was pregnant. And I got the second pregnancy. So, and you have to wait 3 months before you tell people and stuff. And I think I must have found out, I feel like it was October. Yeah, it was October, but I was telling the family in November, and they were all excited. But anyway, and then I ended up having a November baby, 4 years and 3 months later. And so the funny thing about all of this is that we tend to find ourselves, like I said, that perfectionism or a savior complex. We want to find where we were wrong so that way the other person feels better. And I love people. So that's my weakness. I think that, and people can use that, and they do, right? People use that against you. I mean, that's, I think, the nature, of humans. We don't always mean to, but, we're always constantly in this game of chess or checkers, and it's like, let's see how much I can get out of this, right? And it's like, don't do that. But when you catch yourself, say something, stop yourself. If you don't know how to manage your own behavior, that's where relationships get weird. And we've all been victims of love bombing, and we've all love bombed somebody. I know nobody's perfect here, but it's one of those things where we have to find the balance. Like, find the balance, please. This is me talking to me, not you, because I'm a hot mess naturally sometimes. Like, in my own space, I have to know when I can connect and when I can't. And that is up to me to know. It's kind of like having your phone on notifications off or on. Like, how I don't get mad at people who text me at all, wherever, because my phone is on the notification off and on as it needs to be. Because if I don't want to connect, I turn my notifications off. If I don't want to remember someone's number, I delete it. I don't block anybody anymore. I just delete their number. You don't respond. You're not connecting. It's okay. Like, but I find myself that's helpful for me. You have to find what's helpful for you. While some people really hate being blocked, or they hate that. They hate all these things. They have so many things they hate. But I think if it's a private thing, and now my private thing is private, but it's also whatever. I think we have to have coping mechanisms, because people are hard to undo sometimes. They are. Like, keep it real, y'all. Like, when you build or connect or court relationships of any kind, you start them and they're just hard to undo. I don't care how long it was. Well, no, that's not true. For me, if it's the shorter the better. It's easier. Like, okay, I give myself 5 minutes to sulk over this, and then we can move on. Or 5 days. You don't know how long it might take you. Certain people do their spirit ties. I don't know if y'all have ever heard that message from T.D. Jakes. It's called soul ties. It's not just about sex. These are things that just when you are in connection with people. There's a lot of us very powerful people. We are all gods in some sense, I mean, even the scriptures say it. So please don't try to act like that don't exist. Let's not do that. We are all connected, right? I don't care how much you go to church or not. And honestly, I found that I connected better when I wasn't having so much flooding of that information that put me in fear mode most of the time, or invoked fear. I do find that my relationship with God is a lot better. Sorry, I know you don't like to hear that, and probably don't want nobody to know that, because then you might not have a church, or might not have teats filled. If people know that everything they need is inside of them, I'm sorry. Anyway. But you feel me? Like, there's just so much beauty within us already. Like, we have every single solitary thing we need right here. We don't really have to go outside of ourselves for it. We don't have to go outside of ourselves for this. Yes, mentorship is awesome. Consultation, coaching to get us back on the right track. All those things are good, and I've used them. I don't need a mentor at this stage. I need a consultant, maybe a coach. I don't need a mentor. I'm 43 years old. Mentor was when I was 20, 30 years old, maybe. In certain areas, I needed a mentor then. I don't need a mentor. Mentor, that's an uneven relationship. My son needs a mentor. I don't need a mentor. I have paid for coaching and consulting. I can barter for coaching and consulting in an area, but I'm also going to be able to do that for you too in an area that I'm good at. These are things that, people come into these friendships and they want the hierarchy space because they're older or they're more experienced or something. Now I'm going into another phase of this, but it's still all the same. And I think this is why we end up with these skewed ideas of who people are and who we are. And then the whole time you're being like, you sit there and I'm going to sit here. And then you wonder why you're feeling insecure, or why you're holding on to these guilty feelings, because you're in relationships that want to suppress you or make you feel like less so they can feel like more. And I'm not about that life. I don't do that to people. And if I do, I'm sorry, but I doubt it. And if I do, I think, if the relationship is worth it for you, you should say something. And if it's not, then yeah, move on. Because people are who they are. And if the person makes you feel a certain way, that is how you feel. And when somebody show you who they are, that you better believe them, even if it's me. even if it's you, because that is the perspective of you with that person. Whether they could be amazing to a million people, but to you, it feels wrong. It hurts and you don't like it. You know, I have a very close relationship that I have to remind this person constantly, like, hey, I don't like how you said that. That didn't feel good. I don't like that. Don't speak to me in that way. In this relationship, I cannot just walk away from it. Neither can that person. So yes, we have to talk about it. And yes, we need to say something. Because then, you know, they learn what they don't know. But then the other piece to this is I also need to know that's kind of how that person is. That's how they are. And I need to probably be mindful that I can't take them so personally. Because they're really trying. I can see that they're trying. But as long as I keep feeling insecure or taking them so personally, then I'm never going to really see the true essence of them. I can adjust myself too, as well they can. But it's a two-way street, and not all relationships deserve so much attention. This is why it's a lot of work, and it's why I know people say what they say, that I'm antisocial. Not me, but them. I'm antisocial and all these things because they've been hurt so much. They've been hurt so much. They're just done. It is a hurt so much, and they're tired. People are tired of explaining how to be treated. You know, I had to teach you how to treat me. It's a lot of work. So you just like being with people who just already know how to treat you. But then you end up with these relationships for long term that they knew you from your past and you can't grow up. That's hard too, because as a parent, my boys are always changing and I'm always going to have to adjust. I have to adjust. I do. I find myself, this is getting on my nerves, that's why. You know what I'm going to do? I guess that is what it is. Pink inside. I have to learn to adjust, right, my behavior Oh, well, we could do that too. Anyway, this one outdid the other one. I have to learn to adjust my own behavior many times, because you know I'm raising like adults. I'm looking at them from a perspective of someday they're gonna be adults. I don't want to, like, I'm working on like all the things. Hey, good morning. I want to teach them what I'm learning. I can only teach them what I'm learning, right? So I'm always learning. Hubby's always learning. We're always learning. Like, I'm always trying to figure out what I need to grow in and work on so I'm better. It's like not even a like option. I want to be better at everything I'm not good at right now. I want my next level to be better than this level. I don't think that it's healthy for me to stay stagnant. But I get it when people are like, you know what, I'm at a place where I'm good. I don't want more. I get it. But then it's hard to be in friendships with people who are like that, because then it's like, if you're growing and they're not okay with it, or they're looking at you with this, you know, jealous eye or some kind of envy eye, it's hard. I was listening to Oprah and Gail talk the other day, today, I think it was this morning. She was like, you can't be in friendships where people be like, ooh, I saw you the other day, ooh, or ooh, that's, you know, just got to be careful, because you can feel the spirit of all the things, all of the vices. Tell me you are not able to feel it. I know I'm not the only one that's empathic. You can see the thing, you know, I don't like to read people on purpose. It's just there. I'm intuitive as hell. I don't like it either. But it's always there. I'm very aware when there's a situation. And if I continue to push through, regardless, I feel like that's on me. Honestly, I can't be mad at somebody because they did what they normally do. You know, and then now it's on me to undo them within my spirit. And that's work. And so I'm being more careful, right? And you should too. And it's okay to be more careful. It's okay to not let everybody in. It's okay. Like, oh, and I say that to you because I'm like, maybe there's somebody else who went through this like me, where you constantly felt like you had to be this thing or person to all these people, and you really don't. You know, and you may be religious, you may be at church, because of, like, I know specifically what the church style I grew up with, sorry, because I felt like the black church had a different perspective on relationships. It was a culture thing. When I went to the newer, when I would say my next church, not the churches I grew up in. In fact, it was more private. Growing up, it was more like you don't talk and you don't be sharing all the stuff. But in this particular church, you have to share everything. Well, you don't have to, but people do, and I did. You know, I was like, I confessed all the time. You know, all the time. And people came to me with confessions, and it's a lot. Sometimes you don't need to hear some of the confessions. It's like, that's something between you and God, child. Like, just keep that between y'all, because now I see that. That's all I see when I'm looking at you. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's like, you know, you gotta be just wise in what you're sharing. And yeah, and a lot of people probably think, oh, I know her, because they see, oh, you know, she shares stuff on Facebook. But I'm still like, I can't give you everything, and you shouldn't be doing that either. Like, it's Facebook. I think, you know, those who know must teach. And if you understand something, or you got a perspective, and Spirit gives you an intuitive nudge to say, go ahead and share that, that's when I come on. Honestly, I feel like I'm supposed to be on here, and it's like, okay, you know, even with the crying the other day, I was like, I felt a little something. I'm not feeling it now. I did give myself some time. I was like, should I take it down? Then I was getting calls, and people were saying, oh, you know, I was struggling with that too, and I see you and all this stuff, thank you, and all this stuff. And I was like, and my messenger was flooded, and I said, thank you, God, you know. So I kept it, whatever. I may take it down someday. Who knows? I don't know. I had another one cry. I'm not a big crier, and that's the cool thing. Like, I love when I can cry for tears of joy. I'm not infatuated with sadness, and I need to have that. You know, like, I'm like, something bad got to be happening in my life, or somebody got to be dying, or I'm not infatuated. I don't lust after that kind of feelings. Like, I have to have those. And in fact, I ward them off, and I don't invoke them in my life. So I'm like, I don't want that. And so why would I, you know, conjure it up in my thoughts? It's not easy not to, but it is, because, you know, I grew up with a lot of death and dying, and, you know, people, all the talk about death and dying, and constant shootouts and things of that nature in the inner city, you know, and we are needing a savior, and we need God to help and fix all of this. And in fact, I believe that, and I know because I'm seeing it, God wants you to just start to say the things that you want to see, and he wants you to fight for things that we see around us. It's like, if I see it already, just say something and get help, you know, within, and get out of that thing. I don't want to fight for this. I don't want to be lusting after this foolishness. I don't be lusting after pain, death, and dying. I can't be around people who are doing that. Always talking about somebody dying. I don't want to hear that, but not in a mean way. Okay, so I don't mean it in a mean way. So, like, okay, let me throw this out there, because it's just when it doesn't have a perspective of, like, peace, I guess. You know, like, death is a part of life. No, not today. No, not today. It was last Monday when I was on here. But okay, I don't even want to take this the wrong way, so I'm gonna try here. Well, take it how you want. I don't mean any harm specifically to you or anything. It's not a personal thing I'm thinking about, because I know people have had deaths in their families and things of that nature. I don't want anyone to think I'm insensitive to that. I just don't feel like it's necessary to lust after it, like need it, you know, these bad things to be happening to feel whole. It's a thing that I've seen growing up, actually, and I'm very mindful of, I don't want that energy. So anyway, my goal is just to be in better, authentic relationships. So I'm careful how that relationship looks. We can't all get it perfect, right? But sometimes we don't need to engage as much as we engage. We don't need to fight hard for all the things. We should be fighting hard for ourselves, you know. I had a situation where someone was like, well, you didn't give me a hug. And I'm thinking, well, you were sitting, first of all, and I said hi. I just felt like they wanted more, and I didn't know what more to do. I didn't think I owed that to them. Like, not that they didn't deserve it, but it was not owed to them either. I said hello, and I gave the biggest hello I could possibly give, and I was going to find my seat. And, you know, I just didn't know why I needed to do more. Like, I didn't need to do any more. And I do value this person. I love them too. It's not like I don't. It's just I just didn't know why I needed to give anything else and why they took it so wrong. Like I had done something wrong, which I hadn't. And I almost let that sink in, like I was the person in the wrong. And I thought, no, nobody, you don't owe me anything. I don't owe you anything. Then that's okay. Like, why does there have to be some kind of retribution or penalty or anything a thing here? No offense done. It's over. We're, you know, hi, you're awesome, what's up? And I embraced the person more than once, because again, I have this savior complex and I want to be helping and saying, okay, I'm sorry that you didn't feel loved by me. And of course, I don't want anyone to not feel loved by me, right? And even that statement is horrible. Like, how can I affect that? How can you affect that type of change? Like, it's too much. It's too much. It's a lot of work. And yes, like, I believe I'm supposed to give to the world. That's why I write. That's why I sing. I believe that all that things come out in the creativity. Like, I express my creativity through my hair, through doing my makeup. That's for me. Like, I need that as a thing I can change, because I know there's so much, everything's constant. There's only one thing really constant in the world, and that's change, right? Thank you, India Ari. But it's like, what else can I do? I can't do more than I can do. And a hug, I mean, it's okay. I can give another hug, right? But it did not make sense to me that I was being kind of blamed for something I really didn't do. I didn't really do anything. But it took me a second to realize that. And it came quicker than it usually does. Another situation happened. I was like, it was a couple months ago. And I was like, yeah, like I was only following up on something that I should have been following up on. Because the person said they would do it. So I'm following up. And it's a penalty for following up. Because they're like, why you followed up with me? You never did that before. Well, this time I did. And so I realized, I said, okay, well, that was not a healthy relationship. And so I'm okay with the move on, as hard as it is, because that was a hard one. And this has nothing to do with the church necessarily, but it was a hard move on because that relationship was so deep and personal for me. And so I didn't understand it, but I can't let myself just be left to hang like, oh, you know, let you dangle me. You know, don't let people dangle you or dangle carrots in front of you, like make you feel bad because you didn't. I don't know. It's even hard to explain. It's just a move on. It's okay. Like, that's where I'm at. I'm like, I can move on and it's okay. I can take a deep breath and we can do that. That move on is okay. It's hard, right? All these things can be very difficult. But that's why I know it's important. We have to know our own perspective on things. Like, what is it that hurts you? What makes you tick? What drives you? What motivates you? I do better when I'm alone, a lot of times on certain things. But I also do need connection. So I make sure I get those connection times with the right people. And I have a really busy month in September, and I'm preparing for it now because emotionally I know I'll need space by myself and time to myself, as well as I'm connecting with people that I'm really excited about connecting with. I'm gonna need that time. So like this month, I knew some things were coming up and I prepared, and it worked out really nice. And I want to do that more often for myself and my family. You know, it feels really good to do that. I used to get the Monday morning blues when I was dating Ian back in the day. We were long distance daters for a while, and I would get the Monday blues. Like Sunday night, the date's over, he's on his way back home here, and I was, I hated that. Like, I just felt like, oh. And, he kind of reminded me of that. Like, this Sunday night can be the end of a week, but Monday is the beginning of a new week. It's okay to have a beginning and an end, of things, and you don't have to have the blues, you know what I mean? I don't know if you guys ever heard of something called sundown, but a lot of people from north, when the hemisphere changes and the earth's at, not next to the equator as much, there's hardly any sun upstate, and some people get depressed, and I know that I was experiencing some of that. I don't think I knew it at the time. I know it now, but the sun is beautiful and does help with that. But it really is not so much about the sun as it is within us, and I thank God for that understanding and perspective and point of view, because when you know better, you can do better. When you see it, it is possible to change it, because we have neuroplasticity where our brains begin, and I'm not a scientist, but I truly believe that I am a scientist, and you are too. We're all scientists, because anytime we have perspective, or we experiment with things in our life experience and experiments anything we're testing, we're scientists. We're not be like the top-notch school type, but we are scientists. I believe that. Like, I feel like it's important for me to take time out to understand things. And I like understanding things. I like digging deep. That is me. But I understand some people don't like that. So I can't be going all deep with other people. And then I have like a girls trip coming up that I help plan. And I was like, I want to know the place before I get there. Because that for me is awesome. But someone that's doing it doesn't like that. So that's fine. But can I help prepare still for them? Maybe I can hand them a sheet afterwards. They may not like it in the moment. Maybe I want to be reading all the articles I'm reading to get to the point where when I get there, I know what I want to see. I don't want to get there trying to figure it out. I've done that, and it's just so annoying. So I'm like that with a lot of things. I just want to kind of know what it is I'm getting into before I get into it. So I'll do it. I'll do some research, and I kind of be talking myself out of something, or I'll talk myself into something, and I can know how to pray about how I can, experience that thing. So yeah, I'll research. It's lots of things I'm like that with. So, for me, it's interesting and fun, but some people like spontaneity when it comes to those things. And I think for me, I don't know. For me, I am spontaneous. I am spontaneous. I have some spontaneity in me that I enjoy spontaneously doing. But things that I'm just not going there with y'all. But I just prefer to read up on things. That way I go in with some perspective and understanding before I go all the way in, right? Mind your business. So, yes. So anyway, off the subject, I appreciate relationships of all kinds. I just know that there are categories to them, and we can work them out. Sometimes there's workout, and sometimes there isn't. And when there isn't, that if that's something you like and need, then if that person's not like that, then that's okay. And they, just balance. And no controlling other people, because we can't anyway. We can't control them anyway. And then it just leads to violence, revenge, and horrible other things. I see so many. I be chiming in on all these conversations on Facebook. I have my Facebook. I have it set where it blocks me out for a certain amount of hours. But when I'm on, I'm on. Like, I'm in there. I'm a commenting fool. But I do honor my time, because I love the Apple phone, because it shows you how much time you spent on Facebook. It shows you how much time you did this. So, but as we are, building our brand or whatever, we have to spend time on here, right? But we don't have to be on here all the time. So I'll delete my app sometimes when I know I can feel it. I've been on there too long, right? Or I'm engaging too much with the virtual world. So I'll delete my apps. I'll delete them. I will not delete myself from the Facebook world. I've done back in the day when Facebook first came out, I think in 2015, I used to delete, you know, this might, oh, you're spending too much time on Facebook, and I used to delete myself off of Facebook, and it's like, that didn't make sense to me. So now I just delete the app. It gives me a break, and it's not so easy to touch that button and start putting stuff or looking at people's reels. I need a break, and so I take that break because it's up to me. I'm not bound to anybody on here. I don't have to engage. No one needs to even know that I do that, right? Because I don't have to answer. None of us have to answer to anyone. If we start to feel this absolute need to always engage, or that we're going to miss something, or fear of missing out, then that's what messes us up with Facebook and different social media platforms. And then we start to compare ourselves to people. You don't know what somebody got going on in their background. Ain't nobody this is not the space to be keeping it real about all the things. I'm not doing, I will keep it real about something. I'm just not, no. No. Now, there are spaces for that, like, okay, YouTube University is amazing, because if you want to know something, there's videos, okay? If you want to jump into that space for that purpose, do it. I think also blogging is a great space for just getting personal. They have another one called, I want to say Better or something like that. There's Reddit, because you can be kind of private on there, but also get real deep. And so, you know, there are spaces for real deep. I think Facebook is really a spot where you do need to see, I like to see the highlights of people's lives. It's a space where you should come and you should feel like happy and joyful. If someone, even if in their good, makes you feel like shiznits, snooze them. It's not them, it's you. And that's okay. Like, you don't have to look upon them with jealousy and envy. That's not my struggle in terms of that. But sometimes, you're like, I don't want to hear your opinion. Like, and that's okay. Like, unfortunately, yeah, it happens, right? We're human. Even if it's me, right? If it's me too, like, snooze. You may love me as a person, but you may not want to hear my opinion, and that's okay. Like, just snooze it or mute it or something. Like, I think the whole point of all this is just protect your own personal energy. Like, protect your own personal energy. Like, whatever that means for you, do it. It doesn't have to be broadcasted, but it's okay to protect your own personal energy. And if it would hurt someone's feelings, maybe don't tell them. I'm saying it here, and if I hope that I'm not hurting anyone's feelings, but these things are because of my own issues, right? My own need for the change or switch that I would need, not because so much you, right? Because how can we know the details of all of that? Whose fault it is, or why I feel that way, why? Sometimes you just don't need that specific thing. Sometimes you're more needing quotes from somebody you don't know. Sometimes you don't want to hear from somebody you know. Our ego gets in the way. I don't know why that is. I don't know. I don't know why that's there. It's silly, but it happens. But I guess the part where people say don't take it personal is because really, truly, it really has to do with that person more than anybody. I remember people would get in your inbox and stuff and start saying, you probably shouldn't have said all that. You probably shouldn't have did all that. Because that's their perspective. But this is my page. And if I, as a full-grown adult, want to share what I share, that's my personal business. Now, I do have people I will ask, or I have a coach I will ask. I think you could lean on yourself to know when you need to ask that question, or when you need to unpost, or when you need to slow down. That's all up to us. Like, that's all up to us. Because we're so in tune. Well, not everybody's always in tune, but sometimes most people are in tune to what they should and shouldn't be doing anyway. And if they want to do it, that's really their business. I think we should really stay out of all the things that really don't matter so much to our personal space. If it don't really affect me, I don't really care what people's sexual preferences are, as long as they don't try to force me on some things. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna try to force you, don't try to force me. I think to religion, same thing. You know, I have people corner me about religion. I don't understand that. Like, this is such an intimate thing. The creator that created specifically me, and it's not the wig. He didn't create this wig, right? Well, he might have helped somebody create this wig. He gave them the idea. This started off in the spirit first, and then it came to the physical. God knows every hair on our head. Imagine counting every hair on your eyelashes, which these are falsies, right? But I still have my own eyelashes, otherwise these wouldn't be able to be here. Every pore, like the creator knows every single pore. He knows it by number. Every single hair on my head, not this hair, my actual hair, right? He knows all of that. And that relationship to me is just so intimate, so important, and so creative and so beautiful. Like, how can anyone else define it? And I used to be all up in people's stuff too, trying to figure out how they're going to, you know, and I've led people to Christ. You know, I was baptizing folks back to back, you know, bringing them in. I was doing that. And it's not to say it was bad or good. I know that time has passed for me. Like, I'm still a messenger though. I am still who I am. I am who I am. I've been this way. I was this way before I even started going to that church. I just learned some new things that I needed to know in that time, and they were beautiful for the time, and now we're moving on, and that's okay too. And I also believe that, like, there's phases for, like, even our altruism. There's phases even for altruism. You can only pull from the well so many times before someone's just like, where's the reciprocity? You gotta be willing. There has to be some reciprocity. You can't just be pulling from the well. People are gonna wonder why and what you're doing. We have everything we need in us. Everything is there. And yes, we can ask for help. Yes, we can get the things we need outside of us sometimes, but I think for the most part, it's got to come from within, and we got to put the work in. And I don't know what that always look like for everybody, and even for myself, I find challenging. But as long as we continue on and we keep fighting for this thing that we know we need to do, like, I know with my tables, I have to have a clear ask, and I know that hasn't been clear. So now I have a clear ask, and, you know, filling out these forms for commissioners, that's a big ask, and it's something that doesn't cost a dime, and I love it. I love it. Helping people to write the letters to Congress, that's huge. That's better than money. We need the question marks off of these applications. We need housing to be for everybody. It's not right. Why does a person have to pay over and over again for a same mistake that they paid for? If the justice system is truly justice, you go to jail, you do your time, and you got all these fines. You can't even get your rights back till the fines are paid. With what job that you won't get? With the house that you can't live in? How? It's an unfair balance. How can no one see that? Like, it's just, if it were you, you wouldn't want that as your answer after you've done your time. And I think even like the harder criminals who have molestation and child abuse on their hands get a better deal. They get to live out in the country, you know, they get places to live, as long as they're like 100 miles away from a school. It's just unfair, right? This wasn't even like, that relationship is unbalanced. It's not fair. The point of view of this person coming out and have nowhere to go, and no one wants to rent to them because they got in trouble. And then two, everybody gets to know your mistake. Is that fair? There's a lot of unfair things in this world people do or allow. And like, we all should know about your mistake so that way we can protect ourselves. Most people who have done time in jail come out with a whole different perspective. Jail is not fun. It's a brick suitcase with a door and possibly a window. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. And yeah, there's some people with some mental health stuff that maybe don't know the difference between right and wrong. I believe that. But there's like this huge issue with multiple payments for the same thing. Now, I get it. There are some hard, ugly things that have happened out there that people have done. And I do believe there's injustice for them. And they need to deal with themselves. And I'm not saying that this is for people who don't deserve, like, to be dealt with in the way they be dealt with. I don't even want to talk about that, because that's not. Deal with people the right way. Just deal with people properly. If they've paid their time, give them a place to live. Let them. Do we need more rights around people being able to live when they come out? They should not have to live on the streets, because then they're going to keep repeating the same things, because that is the only economy they can navigate through. Because what happens? We don't give them an in our way of life. They have to live a different way of life, which doesn't always turn out well. But if we want change, and we want safer streets, and we want less activity with the cops, unless we don't. Anyway, I love the Lord, and I lift my voice to worship you, oh my soul. Rejoice, take charge, my King, and while you're here, and let it be a sweet, sweet sound in your ear. So, make it a great day. It's Monday. And I'll talk to y'all way too long. We're going to get off this phone. Love you guys. I don't know how long this will be up, so save it for yourself. I don't think if I delete it, it will be there still. Because I may look back like, ooh, you talked a lot about a lot of stuff. You talk about a lot of stuff. You should delete it. The committee starts to go. But buts and ums, I gotta stop. But I do want to make it clear that, this is just my point of view. And it is from my experience, not just with any isolated issue. Like, it's not really so isolated. I know I was very specific about the church thing, because it was hard to tell that story without telling that story. Yeah. Anyway, that's part of my story. And I have been public about it, so it's like, whatever. And I didn't, directly talk about specific person and details about where this event, the event or whatever. Even though I know y'all knew I was at a quince last night. But it could have been a different event. You don't know what event it was. So mind your business. Anyway, I think it's liberating and healthy and healing for me too. So on my podcast, I do feel like that's a space where I can get more, I am okay with being known. Some people are not. They don't like it. They're afraid of it. You can't not impress that perspective on other people. That's your perspective, and that's okay. I respect that when someone else feels that way. And I do wonder, sometimes I do, but I know that it's a calling. I do believe God is saying to do certain things, and I do them. So I held back from the call for so long, and yeah. But, when it's there, it's there. You have to do what you need to do. It is I understand it now in a way that I had not understood it before, where fear was the main reason why I wouldn't do anything. And now I can feel the fear and still do it, and so that's a different perspective for me. And I'm okay with that. I'm eating that, you know what I'm saying? And that is, it won't affect you directly, I don't think. And if it does, you have to work on that. That's on you. But for me, how it affects me is how it affects me. And yes, it is what it is. You know, I've written a few books and shared things. I've written articles, written blogs. But business is out there. What I want to share, right? What I want to share is out there. My perspective, my understanding of things. That's what people do. So many people have done it for so many years, for decades. I'm just happen to be somebody you might know that's doing it. And yeah, it can be uncomfortable at times. And yeah, it can be uncomfortable at times. But it's also, it is where I'm willing to be. And it's a choice I'm making. So yeah, we have to just honor ourselves and do what's right for us. And that is what's right for me for now in this season. Will there be repercussions for it? Maybe. And, you know, and again, that's on me to take on. It's not for, you know, you. And if it doesn't affect you, it's not, you know. I don't often even put, you know, things on Facebook when it comes like my friends. If I'm like hanging out with somebody, they don't like the whole Facebook space. I don't do that. You know, so for them it's not okay, but for me it is. So I don't force that on someone else. So anyway, we are all people, human, and let's try to just be the best we possibly can be without always trying to focus on the perfect side of things. Like nobody's perfect. Nobody. So this is Myrtle October's point of view on a Monday. Myrtle moment points of view. How can we make this a M&M? Myrtle's moments on Monday point of view. Mwah. Love you guys. I love you, Myrtle. And make sure you tell yourself you love yourself. Because I know we always tell everybody else we love them. I'm that person. I be telling people, I'll be calling somebody that ain't got nothing to do with me at all as a person of family. I'm like, love you. I'm like, what? That was so unprofessional. I'm so unprofessional. You're not supposed to talk about love in professionals. But I think I bring light and color and love, and that's okay. And I'm okay with that. There's a lot of negativity out here, so I appreciate that God has given me that. Because when I'm not. I like to be home. It's not necessarily I'm negative, but I'm just not ready to connect. I just can't give in that same way. You know, it's okay. You honor you. Honor you, honor your space. And if this is not for you, you just push that thing right on to the side. I won't know anyway. It don't matter. Because I'm talking to the screen. I've seen numbers come up and go. I've seen likes and loves, and I've seen none, you know. But again, it is a decision I'm making right at this moment. And we all have to do that for ourselves. So if it resonates with you, that's good. Because I have people who are on here I love and I resonate with. So I'll listen to the whole video. You know, so I know that maybe it's one person, maybe not. That is not really the point here. And when you're ready for your platform and you're ready to do it for you, you should do it in a space that's healthy and safe for you. For me, the longest time, I think, what was it? The podcast space has always been a safe space for me. You know, and so you just do what you do. You do what you have to do. And some people don't want to do nothing, and don't if you don't. You may just write books that are not social media output, and that's okay too. Like, that's good. Do you? We should all be doing us, like, and honoring God in all of it. Because he is to be honored and glorified and loved. And, you know, it's not religion. It's not specifically to a building. This is about your relationship, like, directly. Like, it's a direct. You don't need nobody in between. No intermediaries, no intercessories. You just need you and him. Now, I'm not saying no, that's not good or don't help. It helps. There are times you need that. Until you get to the place where you fully know that you can do this, you're okay. You just nurture yourself into that space. Do that. You do that. But just know that you got it. You have it too. It's in there. Can't nobody take that thing from you. Not one person. And nobody can put it in there either. You can get help to get there. I believe in that because I've been there. But it's only because I didn't know I had it. We're not start a whole nother conversation. Love you, boys. You know what? I want to do a comedy set. That's my next level. I kind of am nervous about it, but I do think I'm a comedian too. I can see it. And I know I'm not supposed to tell people my dreams, because y'all be taking stuff and doing stuff with it probably. But I speak against that. We can't do that because it's already there. It's already written. It's funny because, like, I've been singing for so long. I've acted, you know. I'm not, whatever, famous. But I've done those things. They're on my resume, right? But I know the comedy thing. Because all the stuff that I've been through and want to talk about can only be palatable in a comedy set, in a comedic set. You know, all the experiences with church and, you know, relationships. I think that needs to be done in a comedic set. I love listening to, like, people who can just unpack that in comedy. It's so funny, because you're like, nobody's like immune to this foolishness that we all experience from each other. It's happening all around us, you know. And my goal is always, I want beauty. I want good. And so I speak that over people. I give all kinds of love because I want that same, right? I want that too. So you reap whatever you sow. So while it might seem so flighty or whatever, it might seem too positive, whatever. I used to get so mad at my husband. He was so positive. I couldn't stand it. But I'm so grateful to God that he's not stopped being that way, because, you know, that thing has come off on me and I am positive too. And I mean, it drew me to him, but it also made me like, oh, come on. I'd be so positive about everything, because I was so used to being so negative. And it's just like, no, you don't have to live like that. Like, it's okay to believe the best of things, because we already know negative, bad things can always flare up and happen. But having the positive side of things and envisioning and believing you're going to receive what you know you deserve. Good is also a part of that. It doesn't have to be, oh, you deserve that. You know, I don't want to be that. It doesn't have to be you deserve something bad. You don't have to always have bad karma. It don't matter what you've done. Nobody is perfect. Mind your business. Mind my business. I love y'all. Okay, I'm really going off this time. Talk to you later. Mwah. I mean, my lipstick and my oils and all the things. Mwah, mwah, mwah.